Your Majesty, Your Excellencies, laureates, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to be speaking today about this critical question about how can we grow without polluting water more or using more water. The convenient truth, we've heard from experts about water quality, all the problems we have, health problems and so on, but the truth is we're not using water very well at the moment, and how we treat water, even in global dialogues, is not as good as it should be. But the convenient truth is we can actually grow better. We can do better, grow better, increase our economies, and get more value from water without actually polluting it more. By decoupling, I mean the ability of economies to grow without polluting more or using more water. And there are several examples we have around the world on how this is already being done and can be scaled up. If we harness existing productivity opportunities, we could actually reduce we could meet up to 60% of the expected growth in water demand around the world by 2030. If we focus on agriculture, which is an area I have great passion for, and an area that uses up to 70% of water worldwide, we have huge opportunities for improving productivity, improving efficiencies in order to decouple how we use water and how we pollute water from agriculture. If we look at precipitation alone, over 80% of agricultural water use is covered by rainfall, what we get, green water. But we do not use it effectively. Only about 30% of that actually go into active use in growing our crops. If we also use deficit irrigation, we can actually offset the balance more in terms of augmenting where in semi-arid and arid areas and also in drier conditions, we can grow our crops more by harvesting the green water when we have it plenty. But what is happening currently in many countries, including in Africa, is that when we have plenty rainfall, we get floods that kill people. We get floods that move all these pathogens into drinking water systems and cause diseases. So can we manage that better and be able to grow better without polluting water more? The answer still remains yes, from all the evidence that we gather around the world. On this map, you see in the blue areas where we have huge potentials to grow crops more without actually irrigating. And in doing that, we'll not be flooding systems, creating antrophic environments that cause malaria in terms of growing mosquitoes and so on. On average, we see that globally, decoupling is already happening. The world is doing a lot better, but this is restricted to the United States, Europe, and a few developed countries. In developing countries, wastewater is still not being treated as well as we hear today, and we are not using water very well. In Nigeria, where I come from, we lose about 80% of water in the drinking water, in the municipal water systems, simply because of inefficient technologies. How about closing that gap? And we'll actually have increased our ability not to pollute water even more. But there are so many technologies out there now, some of which we heard of yesterday in the Young Water Prize competition, and a lot of which has been trialed everywhere. In agriculture, we have efficient rainwater management systems that we could use, very simple, cost-effective, can be done in households, can be done in municipalities, and yet increase how much we capture this green water for agriculture and for drinking in many cases. Irrigation delivery systems could increase agricultural productivity by up to 90%. We've seen that in Israel, we've seen that in the United States, we've seen that in many parts of the world. But why are we not scaling that up? Deficit irrigation is important, irrigation scheduling, drainage infrastructure management, and all those things that are listed there, including hydroponics. All these things are technologies that are already available, but we're not using them efficiently. In the municipal sector, we have a lot of opportunities for reducing just leakages from the water systems. Like I've mentioned, in Germany, we lose only about 5% of water in the municipal water systems. But in Africa, like in Nigeria, we lose up to 80%. That simply is not treating water as life, as we have heard in the morning, in the earlier presentations. We can also improve how efficiently we use water in our households improve collection, treatment, and reuse of in urban water systems, and also use disaggregated urban water supply infrastructure in order to make sure that we don't lose too much of water in the water supply systems and cause more water abstractions than we need for growing our economies. There are more new technologies, some of which we've also heard about: nanotechnologies and microbial fuel cells, membrane bioreactors, membrane technologies, and also source separation technologies that we can easily apply around the world in order to improve water in the domestic sector. And there are also simple and cost-effective water harvesting systems and technologies that we can use to capture the green water more and use it when there is need in the agricultural systems. These are examples from China and also from Ghana in Africa. We also have natural water purification systems like ecohydrology, using just green roofs, ecological treatments of water, just having pervious pavements instead of having hard pavements, as we have a lot in Stockholm, infiltration trenches, and stormwater harvesting systems. All these can help us a lot to use natural systems to allow water to flow to where there is need and not create floods, and also not create pools of water that collect pathogens and transport them to our water systems that we drink. In conclusion, the answer to the question on whether we can grow sustainably, whether we can do more and do better and do good in the water sector is yes, we can. It is that simple. But yet, we're not doing enough. It's not happening enough. Why is it? We need proactive and active strategies and policy incentives that can make it happen at scale. We need institutional mindset reform. We need to consider water as a resource, as economic resource, instead of a social good or something that is given by nature. It just falls, and therefore it's abundant, because the truth actually is that the hydrosphere is not that abundant. Appropriate policies like water pricing, corporate water accounting and reporting are all very important, and also pollution taxes. How about making sure that those who introduce pathogens into the water systems are made to pay for it? The economic imperative is that they will not do that more. But that is not happening. Systems-level approaches also exist that we can use in many ways to improve our water systems. And institutional and social engineering, like the education that the Nobel laureate has talked about today, are also very important. In Africa, we don't have enough water engineers. We don't have enough people who understand the movement of pathogens in the water systems. We don't have enough people who can even do the assessments. And we don't have equipment and laboratories that even you can take your samples back to and analyze them. We need interventions in these areas to make it work better. And again, we can just apply regulation, what I call the 4R principles, just to refuse doing bad to water, to reuse water when it is possible, to recycle the water, and also to use treated water as much as we can. That is what I would call doing right by doing well. Doing well by doing right. Let us invest in sustainable technologies for decoupling in the water sector, because it is possible. It is happening in different countries, and it is scalable. We can scale it up and make it happen. I would like to propose, there was a symposium we had in the beginning of this session, and there were discussions of having a green water harvesting initiative for Africa. I think that is a very timely initiative, because Africa holds 65% of arable land, and water demand in Africa water supply demand will outstrip supply in Africa by about 283% by 2030. Let's act together to solve this problem. Thank you.